What is going on with this San Francisco 49ers team? The San Francisco 49ers suffer yet another horrific loss to an inferior divisional opponent in Week 5 going up against the Arizona Cardinals. And make no mistake, this loss, that was on the offense. I believe there's two main reasons for why the 49ers can't seem to get the job done. Back at it, talking 49ers football. Let's get into it, y'all. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Ryan Tigey, back in action. The San Francisco 49ers offense yet again appeared not to be able to get in rhythm as they played the Arizona Cardinals, specifically getting 0 points in the second half against that Arizona defense, a shitty Arizona defense. So what in the world's been going on? I hear a lot of excuses around the internet. Oh, the heat played a factor as it was the hottest game on record to be played at Levi Stadium. There's player injuries, Christian McCaffrey not being there. It's all nonsense. The 49ers had every opportunity to win that game, and the offense specifically wasn't able to pull it off. And the two main factors that we're about to get into here, the issues specifically going on in the San Francisco offense, I believe it's directly applicable to the game that they lost to the Rams, which was a very similar situation, yet I believe this Arizona loss was much worse. But let's dive into the two main issues that I'm seeing that is having the biggest impact on the 49ers offense and ultimately them not winning games. The first one, I think, is the most obvious one. It's the turnovers. As you all have heard, whether you grew up playing football or you're just a fan that watches the game casually, you always hear coaches and players talk about turnover battle. Whoever wins the turnover battle typically wins the game.
You know, the biggest thing was those turnovers.
Well, that couldn't be more evident from Sunday's game going up against the Arizona Cardinals, where the 49ers, in my eyes, had 4 offensive turnovers. 4. Now, on the stat sheet, those people who like stats, it shows the San Francisco 49ers, they only had 3 turnovers. 2 interceptions from Brock Purdy and 1 critical fumble that happened in the fourth quarter on the 10-yard line with 6 minutes remaining while the San Francisco 49ers were up by 2 points. I'm counting the 4th turnover when they had the series and they got a turnover in downs. It's the same thing as a turnover. You're still giving up field position and the other team is getting the ball back because you weren't able to convert on 4th down. Now, it was 4th and 26. There's reasons the Niners went into that, i.e. Jake Moody being injured, but it's the most obvious and, in my opinion, easy thing to fix for the San Francisco 49ers offense to turn this bitch around, because the turnovers, you can't have it. You can't have it. And again, they lost the turnover battle. The defense, they did their part. They got 2 turnovers. Hell, we even saw special teams in a miracle situation, blocked field goal, return for a touchdown. That never happens. If you've seen in my other videos, special teams is normally an issue. Yesterday, they actually put up points. And so when you mention the team who wins a turnover battle is more likely to win, well, depending on how many games you look at, how far back you go, typically what I see consistently is the team that wins the turnover battles have a 70 to 80% chance of winning the game. So just right there, if you fix the turnovers, you will win the game. It's pretty simple, not very hard to understand. And the 49ers offense yesterday just seemed to be careless, making mistakes, weren't playing with the hair on fire. One thing I've noticed with the 49ers offense is they're not desperate. They're not coming out and playing desperate for wins like they have in prior years. For the most part, it seems like it's either running smoothly or it's just an absolute clusterfuck disaster. And so when you look at the Brock Purdy interceptions, both interceptions, they were tipped. Some can call that bad luck. Some can call that a good play on the defense. And some can say that's on Purdy. I think it's a combination of all 3 of those. However, the most crucial one was Jordan Mason, who's been playing phenomenal. I'll put a caveat next to that. But he has to know situations. The 49ers were up 2 points with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter at their 10-yard line, driving to score. Yet JP Mason fumbled the ball. He was trying to fight for additional yards. And I know Monday morning quarterback, it's a lot easier to say just go down, but he got extremely careless with the football. They were able to poke the ball out and ultimately let the game slip away. It was from that moment, you already sensed the momentum swing that was occurring in that game. But the second that fumble happened, because if the 49ers go down and score that game, it's over. And so when you think about the percentage, 70 or 80% chance of winning when you win the turnover battle, why is it so high? Well, there's three things you just got to think about. Again, fairly simple. One, field position. Field position is in the favor of the offense coming on the field, which gives you a much more higher likelihood of putting points on the board. And then, of course, the momentum of the game. Emotionally, psychologically, if you've ever played in any sports, you will know momentum is 100% a real thing. And then, of course, the third and most important, the team that's turning over the ball, you have fewer scoring chances. And you're giving more opportunity for the opposing offense to put points on the board, with those other two factors playing a pivotal role in the turnover margin. And so here's something that puts a stamp of proof on this. The 49ers, 2 wins that they've had this year, they combined for 1 turnover. In the 3 games the 49ers have lost, it's combined for 6 turnovers. So that right there, again, it's the most obvious and it's the easiest to fix. Protect the ball. The ball is the program. Don't give the ball up. Take the ball and go put up points. The second biggest issue, it's the red zone. This past Sunday, the San Francisco 49ers went 1-for-6 in the red zone against the Arizona Cardinals. That is atrocious. The 49ers were only able to put up 1 touchdown. Everything else was field goal. 1 touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals, whose defense has not been good at all. Yet the 49ers, they continued to have issues in the red zone and weren't able to put points up on the board yet again, and ultimately have to settle for field goals, in which I think Tom Brady hit it home yesterday. When you're a road team and you know the other team's better than you, that is a victory for the defense when they're able to hold you to 3 points. How many times have you cheered for the 49ers when the defense holds a team after a turnover to just 3 points? You're like, oh, that's 4-point swing our way. So the red zone continues to be an issue this year, something that is uncharacteristic of what we've previously seen from this Kyle Shanahan high-flying offense. And to make it crystal clear, the 49ers, they don't have a problem moving the ball down the field. They actually, in fact, move the ball phenomenally, really against any defense that we've seen thus far, moving the ball unbelievably. But when they get down to the red zone, the field gets condensed. That's when the panic button starts to hit, and it seems like nobody is able to make a play unless Purdy chucks it up to Kittle and he's able to come down with the crazy grab. But it's just something we're not seeing on a consistent basis, and it's absolutely killing them, leaving with 3 points versus 6. And so to give you some context behind that, the 49ers, if we just look at the red zone, the 10-yard line and in, last year the 49ers were 29 of 35 in converting touchdowns when they're within the 10-yard line. This year, they're 6 for 12, which is 50%. To have it hit home even a little bit more, so through week 5, the 49ers, they're number 2 in the entire NFL with red zone appearances. They've had 22 opportunities in the red zone, which ranks second in the NFL. The only team above them, the Washington Commanders, who have 23 red zone appearances. This is where the problem comes in. The 49ers are ranked 30th in the NFL with converting into touchdowns. So they're the second best in moving the ball down the field with an opportunity to score in the red zone, but yet they rank 30th in actually converting that into a touchdown. That's a big problem. And so I don't know if it comes down to Kyle's creativity. I'm sick of hearing about not having Christian McCaffrey, because the 49ers, there was a time when they didn't have Christian McCaffrey on the field and they weren't this bad, especially when you consider all the playmakers the 49ers still have. One thing that I think the 49ers need to do, they oftentimes line up in 20-ish personnel, basically 2 running backs, 1 or 2 tight ends, and then 1 or 2 receivers. I believe your best playmakers on the field as it sits without Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, which means they would need to run more 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, or 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, but 3 receivers on the field. Because it seems like throughout these past couple games that they have lost, they're having issues getting receivers open, considering the fact how long Brock Purdy has been holding on to the football. It could be play design, but it's also the receivers getting open. And again, it's condensed into the red zone, throwing an extra receiver in there. to have more opportunity for your best playmakers on the field to make a play. Those are just the two most obvious issues that the 49ers, again, both are very fixable, specifically the turnovers. The red zone may take a little bit more time as they figure out identity-wise who this offense is, what they want to be. But the turnovers is something they can fix immediately. Protect the ball. The Jake Moody injury. Of course, that happened when the guy's been a solid kicker, someone who's been actually pretty dependable outside of a few key misses. But of course, the 49ers, they do something great on special teams. And then the very next special team situation, the kicker is out. Sounds like it's a high ankle sprain. TBD on when he'll be back. And the one thing I will say about this, what baffles me the most, coaches talk about next man up mentality. They plan for a whole bunch of contingencies. In practice, they do the most crazy situations. Every situation you can imagine, they will run through at some point, whether training camp or practice. And what I don't get is how you have all these premier athletes making tens and tens of millions of dollars, how there's not a single athlete on the team that can make a field goal from a distance deeper than 33 yards. That was the report that came out that Mitch Wisnowski, their punter, they were only comfortable with him kicking a 33-yard field goal. Anything outside of the 33, they were going to go for it. How were there this many athletes on the field and not one of them is able to kick a field goal? Why does it have to be Mitch Wisnowski, who's a punter? You're telling me there's no other guys on the squad? You hear things about Juice. Juice is obviously an athlete. He does a ton of shit for the 49ers. Punt returner, fullback, wide receiver, running back, kick holder. But there just has to be somebody. And the fact that that's not a contingency one of these teams plan for, because it's not the first time a kicker has been knocked out in the middle of a game in the NFL. And when you just think about all the contingencies, preparations, plans that these coaches put into it, you would think every week you would have at least somebody on your team kicking field goals consistently for this exact situation. Because you're depending on solely on one guy in one position. And if he goes down, there's nobody to replace him. There's no backup quarterback. There's no third string swing tackle. It's only him. And so the fact that they didn't have anybody, which is, again, definitely affected the game specifically, going forward on 4th and 26 versus being able to kick a field goal and put up 3 points, all those situations, all those opportunities that the 49ers missed, that could have won them the game. That could have put the nail in the coffin. But they didn't have it. And now the 49ers look to the Seattle Seahawks game in Seattle in a must-win game. The football gods, they watched out for the 49ers this weekend because with the Seattle losing to the New York Giants, the 49ers are one game back from Seattle for the NFC West. So this game is an absolute must-win. And that's not an exaggeration. The 49ers are 0-2 in the NFC West, which is not the norm. All 3 games that they've lost are just against the NFC divisional opponents. And so when the tiebreakers come down to it in seedings and playoffs, that's where they look to. Your immediate division, the NFC West, and then just the conference as a whole, the NFC, and the 49ers, that's where all their defeats have come from. So they cannot lose to another divisional opponent. It's a must-win. Hopefully they get it because every game you think they are back to who the 49ers are and the standards they could play up to. But then again, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. All right, y'all, I just had to get on here and give you my 2 main concerns as other additional observations that I saw from the San Francisco 49ers. Atrocious loss against the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray's little cocky attitude. Everything about that game, I absolutely hated. But now they turn to Seattle. They got to win. And my fingers are crossed that they'll get it corrected, that they have the right players, because I'm so sick of hearing after post-game press conferences, we just got to play better. We just got to execute. We just got to play better. It's not for a lack of talent or for a lack of effort. Then what the fuck is it? So if you're a 49ers fan, let me know in the comments what you think the 2 biggest issues are of the San Francisco 49ers offense. It could be offense or defense, but I'm curious to hear what everyone else is thinking. But all right, y'all, as Thursday Night Football quickly approaches, I'll be back. But until my next video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hit me up. Peace.